All right, Ben. Ben, where did you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I am originally from Baltimore, Maryland, which is a pretty crazy place to grow up. To be exact, I always say this, I'm from East Baltimore, Northeast, which is, each section is different. South Baltimore, East, West. West is, at least when I was a kid, was the most treacherous, but the East Side, we had shootings every day. It was a pretty crazy place.
How would you describe your childhood?
So, um, I had a unique childhood, and I was just talking about this with somebody last night, and I'm glad I was because it kind of gave me a interesting perspective before doing this. So, if I had grown up in, let's say, Rancho Palos Verdes, a place that I lived later in life,
Affluent suburb in LA.
a very affluent
Yeah.
suburb in LA. Do you know Terranea? That's where I lived next to Terranea, but later in life. So anyway, so if I had grown up there in that environment, the style of parenting that my parents employed would have worked because my mother just let me be outside. And that's, I think, a really big reason why everything ended up happening, you know? And so I would just be roaming East Baltimore every single day. I skateboarded. My dad, my biological father, he's a piece of shit. He used to beat the shit out of me. And he's just like a stereotypical, like, coke dealing, alcoholic, womanizing piece of shit. Hit women in front of me, beat the shit out of me, all that good stuff, you know. And would use me to smuggle drugs when I was a kid. Put them in my luggage or on me physically when I was like very young. And then my mother, so like I had like I feel like I had like the physical abuse side taken care of with my father, and then with my mother it was more so just like she just let me just be outside, which, like I said, RPV, I would have been just skateboarding around, hanging out with a bunch of cool kids that swimming or something. East Baltimore, that turns into, I mean, just doing stupid delinquent shit as a kid, even like 9, 10 years old, just fucking running around lighting stuff on fire behind the school, or just dumb little kid stuff. But that elevates, and that's how I got into the dealing thing, is being 12, 13 years old. My peers who are in the same circumstances as me, we're all just outside, 10, 20 of us all day, all summer, all of that. And then not really having money like that to be able to go eat, right? Like, okay, we're all outside all day, every fucking day in this hot ass summer. We really need some water and some food. How are we about to do that? And so that's kind of like, that my upbringing was like basically in the streets outside, and very quickly, I think 11 or 12, I think, was the first time I started selling something. I was trying to remember it before I came out here to talk to you, and I can't exactly remember. I think I was 11 or 12 the first time I was selling like dime bags. So yeah,
What kind of kid were you in high school?
that's a funny question. I'm actually glad you asked that. I'm so glad you asked that. So like, I think a big reason why I'm alive and not in jail starts right there, and actually starts in middle school. So I had an English teacher in middle school who, he would force me to act in like plays and stuff like that. So I'd be outside in the streets like crazy, and then go to school and I'd be acting in plays, dramas and stuff. And he had told me in my last year that if I didn't apply to this really nice art school for high school, that he was gonna fail me and I wouldn't graduate. So I was forced to apply, and I got in. And it's, you know what, shout them out, Baltimore School for the Arts. It's incredible. It's the best place you could possibly ever go to high school. There's no place better. You do half your day academic, half your day acting or drawing or dancing, whatever your major is. So they have all the different disciplines. Dude, you can sneak out of class and go listen to a symphony. 110 piece orchestra. I used to every lunch. I would go upstairs and I would smoke weed in the fucking bathroom because I was a bad little kid, and then I would go fucking listen to a 100-piece orchestra. But then I would get out from there and I would go back to my neighborhood and sell fucking drugs all night till 1 o'clock in the morning and go home. So it's like I had this crazy, that's why I talk like this. That's why I don't talk like everyone else from my neighborhood. I used to talk like, man, Baltimore's got a crazy accent. And like I used to talk like really hood, you know? And braids. I used to have long braids and all that shit. But that got me out of that environment and got me around the art world. And so that was my life. I had this weird juxtaposition of going to a school with marble statues and 2-story staircase, and it's weird too. Tupac went. It's the same school that Tupac went to when he was in Baltimore. All the teachers there love to talk about it, talk about Tupac running around and shit. But so I don't know. I would just be crazy in the streets, and then I'll be in school having this both worlds, and I would be doing. I wrote a play that got performed in Baltimore, for a short play, like a 30-minute thing, and so I was in that art world up until when I was maybe like 16. So like I also skateboarded, and one of the dudes that I skated with, he was from an affluent family, and his dad died, and he got left with all this money and all this anger. And even a nice neighborhood in Baltimore is still in Baltimore. It's very easy getting the bullshit. And he became very plugged in with a lot of gangs and with a lot of drugs. And he put me in a position to where I could get so much stuff cheaper than what it normally was in my neighborhood. And so at that age, 16, 17, I really started, that's when I like dove deep into it. I got into a situation at school to where they kind of halfway kicked me out. I was only allowed to come to school half the day every day. So I'll be at school for only till noon, and then I'll be out on the streets the rest of the day after that. So that's when I really got deep into selling weed and selling like Molly. You know about Molly? Like MDMA?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like Molly had just come out back then. I never say this to anybody, but I always look back at that, and I always wonder if I was fucking selling crack, because it's just tan rocks. Like my connect would just be giving me these tan powder and rocks, and this is Molly, go dude, and I'll go sell it, then, So I don't know, I would sell some powder and I'd sell some weed, and I did my thing, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. I worked with a lot of guys that were childhood friends to me, so that's just my friend, right? Like that's just my boy. I'm not gonna say the name, but like that's just my boy, But he's a blood, and this keeps happening in my life more and more, to where by the time I was 17, I realized like, oh wow, all my fucking friends are bloods now. All my friends from my neighborhood, the set that I'm on, is a gang. And so it really got cranked up, because gangbanging plus selling drugs is pretty crazy. There's a lot going on all the time, every day. And, we start feeling like we need to have guns because we're having more money, and, so we're 16-year-olds buying guns, which is not a good thing, and it just escalated and escalated to the point where we're doing $5,000 or $10,000 a day in mostly weed sales in like a big section of East Baltimore. And it just got to a point to where it just got really hot. Ironic with the police going by.
There you go.
Those guys, the guys that just rolled by, they were giving us a lot of trouble. We'd be getting raided, and just kind of like it was so hard to keep on top of things. And then just, so basically there's all this stuff going on, and then one random summer day, some of the homies from my hood, like, I was so naive, man. My homeboy had told me, you need to carry a gun. You need to carry a gun. You need to carry a gun. I told him, like literally, I actually thought this. Bro, the hood loves us. The hood loves us. Everybody loves us. The fuck? No, they don't. I was a kid, and I was so naive. And so, yeah, a couple of the homies, a couple of the people I thought were the homies set me up right on my mom's porch, robbed me for like an ounce of weed. It's nothing, $300-$400, gun in my face, all that. And pistol, I beat my head in and shit, stomped on my ribs. And when he went to fucking shoot me in my head, I think his shit misfired, or didn't fire. And so, he runs up off my porch. I'm all fucked up. My mom's watching through my fucking from the living room. My mom's screaming at this fucking, get the fuck off my porch, what the fuck, get off my son. Watching her son about to get killed, basically. And so I didn't get killed. She gets me inside, bleeding, fucking a bunch of broken ribs from this idiot stomping on my ribs. And so the very next day, she sent me to LA, like instantly. She was like, I had godparents out here in Redondo Beach. So, that's a pretty affluent area too. So get away from the hood, go to Redondo Beach. And so the girl I was dating at the time meets me at the airport. We're like crying in the airport, all this shit. I'm thinking I'm never gonna see anybody ever again. It was, it's so dramatic. Like, obviously I went back and visited a million times, but in that moment where somebody just tried to kill you and your mom's like, you gotta leave, it felt so dramatic. I thought I was never gonna see anyone again. And so, yeah, that's what sent me out here.
So you came to California at what age?
Yeah, good point. I think I had just turned 17, and so I couldn't, so that's what ended me up in Inglewood. So I couldn't get an apartment. I'm staying with my godparents, and we're like, oh yeah, fuck, he's a child, can't get an apartment. This is an issue. And they're great people, but it was Steph and Dave, I love you. I can say their names. It's a 1-bedroom apartment in fucking Redondo Beach, and I'm like fucking a teenager, big rambunctious weed smoking, asshole from East Baltimore. And so they finally find me this spot in Inglewood. I'm so glad you asked this because it's so funny. In Baltimore, when a neighborhood's bad. All the buildings are boarded up. There's fucking, it's bad. It's like down here. Mm-hmm. Like, this is what Baltimore's like. Right. Inglewood doesn't look like that. You got palm trees. I can say this because, so I was across from Alondra Park. I thought it was this nice park. Apparently that's where all the gangs hang at, is at Alondra Park. So I was right there. I think some people consider it on the edge of Inglewood, but I was right there by El Camino College and the Ramonas and all that right there. And so I'm thinking I just moved, palm trees, golf course. I'm thinking I just moved to such a nice area. And immediately I just start falling back into the same old shit. And it's it's totally based on where you are and who you're around, and I know that from going to art school. When I was at art school, I wasn't fucking doing any of that. I was acting. I thought I was gonna go to college. There was one little thing. Actually, I can't blame myself for this. I was supposed to get into this college, and then they rechecked my transcripts, and I had a D in chemistry, and I couldn't go to the fucking school because I had this one D in one class. So now I'm out in California, and I'm not going to school either. So it's just the same old thing again. All right, I'm not in school. I'm out on the streets all day. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just making an excuse, to be completely honest. Maybe I just wanted to do that shit. It was fun. It was fast money.
It's in your blood.
It is. I mean, I did it since I was a baby. My dad did it. Other people in the family did it, but I got you. I'm not gonna say who you are right now. A lot of people in my family did it. And that's one other thing too, is so I had an uncle that lived in NorCal, all the way up in Humboldt, up by Ukiah and Redway and all that. And so I could get, so I'm automatically plugged in. He's a weed grower. Mm-hmm. So it's okay, I'm in LA, I can now, it's just, I'm fucking, of course, of course I'm gonna end up doing it. So.
And the thing to remember in this story is that weed was illegal.
Oh yeah, really quick. Weed was crazy illegal. If I would have got caught with so we did get caught back in the day. Yeah, thank you so much for reminding me of that. So just in all that Baltimore shit, an ounce of weed, we're in jail. I mean, we would get caught. The police would hop out on us every day. And think about this, so me and my boy, I'm gonna just say A, you know who you are, my boy, but I don't want to put you out there like that because I bet you're still in the streets, my boy. We were the only 2 white boys in our neighborhood that was in the streets. So think about when the cops, they know us. They pull up on the block. Those 2 white boys, get them. So, I mean, and he didn't have the benefit of going to a better neighborhood school or whatever. So he'd really be getting jumped out on all the time. Weed was super illegal. Weed was crazy illegal. When I look back on it, it's we walked around every day with the equivalent of super smelly cocaine on us. Like cocaine worth of charges that everybody can smell. So it was crazy. And even coming out, so then when I came to LA, weed is medically legal out here. And my uncle, who's a grower in NorCal, he supplies dispensaries and shit, but weed's still illegal in Baltimore. And so and the big thing that my uncle showed me, Because like when I first got here, I was like, oh, can you connect me? And he was like, yeah, I'll just mail you some pounds. I'm like, mail me some pounds? What? Sounded super scary the first time. But he did it. He just mailed some pounds down to my house. And that was it. It made me realize I can send this wherever. I can send this to Baltimore. I can send this to a whole lot of places. And one of my friends from back home, I mentioned this to you earlier, had become like a pretty large dealer. Really, really, really big dealer. He was moving a ton of weed. He would be moving 50, 100, 200 pounds of weed every week. I'm not even going to say a nickname because I don't want to. But my boy Llama, that was our special name for him, my boy Llama. I knew that he could move anything I could get him. So like if I were to get him 50 pounds, I knew that he could pay for them and do his thing with them. And so for a long time, I just really only worked with him. I would just really, because I couldn't even get enough for him. Like he was moving so much that even my best efforts was a fraction of everything he needed. And so I'd be mailing stuff over, and then back then bank accounts were different. So you could, everybody knows this that was in the streets back then. You could put money into people's bank accounts you didn't have to have an ID or anything. Like you could have just walked into Bank of America with my account number, $5,000 in cash, boom, put it in, no questions asked, and they'll put it in. Now it's not like that at all anymore. And so, but back then, so we just mail pounds over to whatever state, and they would be putting money into your bank account. You pull it out, and it's that easy. And UPS or USPS is delivering your fucking $10,000 box of weed in 2 days. What changed though is the money thing. So they started requiring IDs and things of that nature for putting money in the bank, and that's when I started flying to go get my money. And because I would fly to go get my money, now instead of just this one isolated person in this, say, Texas or Maryland or the Eastern Shore that I'm working with, now I'm in this state and I'm meeting all these people. And I was really cocky, crazy. I was a fucking like 19-year-old kid touching hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if somebody said, oh, who's this guy? What am I gonna say? I'm the plug. You need pounds of weed? Like an idiot. But yeah, so I think that's really what actually grew it. It's kind of ironic, like they limited our ability to put money into the banks, and so you think that would like decrease it. But because of then me flying to go pick up my money in person and fly back with it, now I'm meeting 10 times more people, and they all need the same thing. And so around the same time while I'm living in Inglewood, all right, I have to be very particular now. So I meet a bunch of folks from a gang. Because I'm working up with my uncle up until this point. So I've got my uncle, weed, send it, right? But he's just a hippie. He can only do so much on this hippie farm. He's an older guy, So I've got like a bottleneck. I can only get so much weed for this tremendous amount of demand, so many different states. And so like simultaneously, two things happened. All my little homies that had been like 2, 3, 4 years younger than me in high school, they're all up now. They're 17, 16, 17, 18. So I can put them on now. And they're starting to, and so now not only my network is bigger, their fucking network. So now it gets crazy. Hundreds of people, I'd say 150, 200 people that are all buying at least $5,000 to $10,000 worth of drugs when they re-up or when they do their purchase. So now it's a lot of money. And then within that, maybe 20 people that can spend infinity money. Any amount of what they want that you can get, they'll buy all of it, and they'll haggle the price, and they'll buy $1 million worth. So at that point, it was fucking crazy. It was fucking crazy. It was like it got fucking crazy because we were all kids. We were all a super tight knit group of kids getting a lot of money, shipping a lot of pounds to a lot of places. And the gang that I met had connections with other organized crime groups, I think is the best way to put it. So the gang that I met had connections with cartels and mafias, right? So bigger than gangs, basically. All the organizations that get bigger than gangs. And they would have older uncles or just big homies and shit that would be in these umbrella bigger organizations. And so now in Cali, my access to shit is everything, fucking anything, and at the best price, and pretty much unlimited quantity too. If we might have to go to a few different places, but we can get all of it. So now shit gets really crazy. I definitely won't say his motherfucking name, but my big homie, I hope you see this, bro, with a L. Bro, I love you, I miss you, I hope you're doing good. I met a dude over in Vegas who could take, I could drive him 10,000 pounds of Mexican brickweed and he would buy all of it. I could drive him, infinity weed and he would buy infinity weed. I've never seen street money like this in my entire fucking life. This dude had every car. This dude had, the first day I met him, we go up in this condo and we're going to show him a sample of the stuff that we can bring him, and then we're gonna bring him thousands of pounds of it. We go up in this condo, it's fucking beautiful. Everything is perfect, everything's perfect. And I said, hey man, like, I really appreciate you doing this. Like, this is the first day you're meeting us. I can't believe you would bring us in your home. Like, because people don't do that. You don't bring people in your fucking home ever, let alone the fucking day you meet them. He was jacked. He lets out this like big billowing laugh and he goes, this is my house, this is my dog house. This is the only place my girl doesn't know about. That kind of money. And so it just took off. It got fucking crazy, you know. It got to the point where we're just all day, every day. All I do, the same way you just said you work a 15, 16-hour day every day, I'd be doing that on the road. As soon as we get this from here to there, we got to go back here and we got to get the money back, you know, because now we're trafficking big amounts of money, and so you can still get fucked on the way back with all the money. And I'm catching cases, just to clarify too. I used to joke, from 18 to 21, I would catch a case every 3 months. I would catch a big fucking case, and the homies are catching cases, but until the other bullshit drugs started affecting us, we were good. We would bail each other out. Like, we had love. Like, I was in my homeboy's car one time when I caught this big trafficking case in Baltimore. They raided my grandma's house. They fucking cut all his seats open in his car that I had, took his car, all this shit. Same homie came and picked me up from jail. It's straight. Shit happens, bro. You ain't cut my seats, they cut my seats. You ain't tell them to. You ain't tell them there was drugs in the car or some shit. So it was like, we had a lot of love for each other, and we would do what the fuck ever for each other. We would bail each other out. We would get lawyers for each other, so nobody got fucked. Like, I caught cases like crazy. I probably, just in Tennessee, I spent, with my homeboy, you know who you are too, we both spent like 50 on bail, like 50,000 on bail, attorney, and then we both paid a few $1,000s in fines for the situation at the end. So it was like, we spent like 50 just in Tennessee. And while I had that case in Tennessee, I was on trial in Virginia and Baltimore. And the girl I was dating at the time had took a case for me in LA. So 4 trials, Tennessee included. I'm out on 3 different bails, which I don't even think you're fucking supposed to be able to do. But it was 3 different states, so I don't think they knew. And then my girl, I got caught in a car with 21 pounds. This is a fucking ridiculous story. We're driving 3 blocks. We're going from my house to her house. I got 21 pounds of weed in the car. There's another 15 pounds of weed in her ceiling at her house. And we had to just go there, vacuum seal it all, and ship it out, right? On the 2 fucking block drive, we get pulled over, get the car raided. They go and raid her house because I guess they look at her ID or some shit. All 41 pounds of weed, all taken. The cops going, oh, this is cartel level. This is cartel level. I'm laughing. No, it's not. No, it's not. I've seen cartel level. It's this whole building full. And so she kept it fucking solid. Shout out to you, hon. Lady, your nickname, Lady. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for taking that case. I would have went to fucking prison if you didn't take that case. And so she said they were all hers. She took like 40 something pounds from me. So now I'm paying for her bond, her attorney. I've got 3 cases in all these fucking states. My homeboy just got locked in Sacramento, my big homie, and he had to do house arrest in Sacramento.
And the
for
reason
some
you're
years.
telling this story now is the statute of limitations.
Yeah. The only reason I could tell this is because I'm 26 now, and I stopped trafficking drugs by 21, basically. Like, I still did little things in LA at 22, like, say, go up to a farm, get 100 pounds, go to a dispensary. But I don't think that's illegal. It was gray area back then because there wasn't no license for that. But that's where I went to, is like, okay, I'll go get 100 pounds, but I'm going to dispensaries. I'm not going to fucking out there. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. So I caught a million cases. All the homies caught a million cases. I can say this. We started dealing
Were you
with
selling only pot?
that's what I was gonna say. So we started dealing with some other stuff. I think the best way to put it, you know, for me, like, I really could get so much money out of weed that I was never as like, I didn't have to get 10,000 Xanax and do whatever with them because I had so much money off weed. I was straight. The homies, though, only so many of the 100 homies can be the ones breaking down the weed. You know what I mean? Not all of them. So it kind of got to where, like, Xans and some other stuff were getting involved. And the biggest thing that was crazy about that, and it's like I watched karma happen. It's like I watched karma happen because you get these fucking drugs, right? Like, weed doesn't fuck people's life over. Weed doesn't ruin people's lives. That's why I feel good selling it. Xans do, especially fake Xanax with fentanyl in them. And coke and crack. Crack really fucking does. And heroin really does. And so it progressed. Like, the homies started dealing with tens of thousands of Xans, and boom, now they're all on Xans. So they're selling Xans, they're losing their money. I don't know if you know about Xanax, but it makes you forget, especially if you abuse it in, like, really high dosages. You'll have 3 or 4 days where you have no memory of what the fuck you did. So you'll wake up, no money, you know, or you'll wake up in jail, not knowing what the fuck happened. So that's what starts happening when they start importing all these tens of thousands of Xanax, and they're getting hella money off of it, but all my homies' life starts going down the drain, losing everything, crashing all their cars, everything. Like, one of my homies crashed one of my BMWs up in Baltimore that I didn't have no fucking insurance on at the time, that he shouldn't have been driving. A couple of my homies, they were all fucked up on Xans one night. They go out and they shot up this whole neighborhood. They shot up this whole fucking neighborhood. They didn't kill anybody. They shot, like, cars and shit, like, stupid, like, shot up cars and shit. But they were off, like, Xanax and liquor. I stayed home. They were like, yo, you want to come ride out with us? I slept. I wake up the next day. They're back. And then later that day, they're on the fucking news from this whole neighborhood got shot up because they went and did this shit off the Xannies. As you can imagine, that's not conducive to fucking business. That doesn't really lead to, at least the cops and stuff, you know, it doesn't really lead to conductive for business sales. And a couple of the homies got in shootouts at the time. Like, they were just living so crazy and reckless, which, like, I've never been in no shootout. I've never fucking had to shoot at somebody. I keep a gun, not right now because we're in LA. I don't have no gun on me in LA. But, I like to keep a gun on me or whatever, but I'm not trying to fucking shoot at anybody. And so the homies are getting into shootouts, all this crazy shit, and catching cases. It gets worse and worse. And the more drugs they get involved, the more they're just on the drugs. So they're selling them, but now they're on coke and Xannies and this and that. One of the big homies, was trying to get me and, like, my LA boys to get involved in heroin trafficking. He's asking us to get him 30 fucking bricks of heroin, which, like, do you understand? That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, 10 pounds of weed, that's 21 grand, right? 23 grand. 30 keys of heroin, I don't even know. It's like $1.5 million or something. Like, I don't even know. I know keys of blow are like 30. I don't even know what keys of heroin are. And it just got to be too much, man. Like, he got knocked on that. We told him no. Me and my boys from LA, we thought about it, and we were like, my homeboy had just had a baby. You know who you are, bro. C and L, love you guys, miss you. They used to live with me, them, their baby mamas, and their baby. Dudes from the gang that I told you about. The gang that I would be around. Their baby mama and their babies. I love those guys. And they had just had kids. They're like, fuck this shit. We're not about to try to sell no fucking heroin. So they told him, like, go get the bricks on your own. We're not getting you bricks of heroin. He goes somewhere in NorCal, gets knocked 30 keys of heroin trying to buy them. Boom. that fucked Baltimore up. He was one of the big cats in Baltimore, and now he's out of the picture. And his partner, they got this crazy beef going, and they split. He runs with one of the major gangs out there. Very dangerous fellow. So that just a lot of beef starts going down. Homies fucking homies up. Homies pulling guns on each other. Homies almost killing each other. A lot of times, homies almost killing each other. Crazy shit, kicking in each other's doors to get money back that they fucked over. Like, all the drugs, man, it makes you act like a fucking idiot. And so, at the end of it, it just all came to a head. Like, it was so shady. Everybody's going to jail. Everybody's killing each other. Well, not actually killing each other, but like wanting to kill each other. Really, like, that's what's so crazy. Like, when people ask me, like, oh, like, your friends or whatever, I always say, a bunch of my homies went to jail. A bunch of my homies died, and the rest of us, we want to kill each other because it's stupid shit. So it's like everything is just fucked. The big network was ruined. There was nothing left. We couldn't keep getting money together. People were ODing and shit. And I just, like, the last catalyst, I had this one guy, it was like my brother. He would hold me down in Baltimore. Like, he made sure that I was straight, you know, and he was very serious. He moved with a lot of Jamaican. It's funny, man, he's a white dude like me, and he moved with nothing but Jamaican dudes. They loved him. And he was very serious, and he would handle business.
But you're working with the cartel, and that you don't just stop that, right?
Yeah. So this is what I'll say, and I have to see, I love you for the way you did this, and I never understood the way that you did this until recently. So there was a dude with that really was like my main homie here, and he introduced me to everyone else. And what I realized is I never did a meeting with anybody that he didn't set up. I didn't set up no meetings. I didn't. So it was I was like a step removed. Even though I'm there and doing every single thing, my homeboy C is conducting the orchestration of the business, the how much money for how much this. I don't speak Spanish. That's another thing you gotta realize. A lot of these cartel dudes, the uppers, they don't fucking speak English, dude. You have to speak Spanish with them. And I knew a degree to which, so I could know the numbers, right? So I know that the numbers that I'm being told are the same as the numbers that they're speaking. But I can't fucking have a whole, to get you to trust me and to interact with me. One of the things they would always have me like do a bump of coke, because the agents, undercover agents, I guess won't actually consume drugs. So anytime I walked into one of those buildings, they would be like, hey, you want a bump of coke? Take the bump of coke. But yeah, no, I mean, I think the reason I was able to walk away from it is like the same thing that caused our downfall, right? If everybody's in jail, right? If everybody's drugged out of their mind, they don't even remember what the fuck they did yesterday. And that's the thing, like, I think that if I would have been directly with the upper dudes, the cartel dudes, say I spoke Spanish and I'm really just, none of these younger guys are with me, I'm just going there, I think it would have been a major difference. But luckily, it was all their nephews. I would be going with their nephews. And I think they just kind of, and then all their nephews are fucking, I don't know, not to say, just drugs, lean and Xans, because not to hate, I love you guys. Lean and Xanax will really put you in a disposition, and liquor altogether. It's just, you'll be so clouded. You'll be talking to people that aren't there, you know? And that's kind of where the homies got to. So it's like, how, like, maybe, I don't know, it's harder to like go trip on somebody like, yo, why are you not selling for us anymore? It's like, bro, I can't even have a coherent conversation with you to go to the plug with you to do, you know what I mean? So
you moved where?
So I moved out about as far away as I could on the East Coast to a state where marijuana is legal to open a cannabis business, and that has turned into the best decision I made in my fucking life, dude. And
so you're where now?
East Coast. Is that?
Oh, you want to be? Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
It's fine. Yeah.
I can be a little more specific. Actually.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. I'm on the East Coast in a legal cannabis state, and so basically what I did is I ran the fuck away, and you know this. I mentioned it a minute ago. I ran the fuck away, man. So after my homie got raided by the DEA in Baltimore, and that's what I was saying, Liam, he was my best guy in Baltimore. So like Baltimore's just done. It's dead. Everybody's fucking on drugs, jail, all the girl, man. Oh man, girls I thought was down for me done turned into hoes, Mark. Man, the women I thought was down for me done turned into hoes, Mark. Oh my God. So it's like, there ain't nothing left for me there. Go fuck some girl that 3 of the homies is fucking. Go try to sell a pee to some knotted out fucking whatever. And then shit got hot in LA, and the homies are all fucked up. The police are raiding. I'm running away. I told you, every couple days I'd walk in my fucking house. I'd be bugging out. I'd just be fucking sitting there bugging, itching, bugging. Pack up the house, fucking run away. And so that was it. I ran away to the East Coast. I started a dispensary. For last 5 years, done nothing but that. Sold legal weed.
And you're doing it all legally now.
Yeah, man. I made my escape. Dude.
What would you say is the most important thing you learned in all of this craziness?
I think it's really about like where you are and who you hang with. So any place that you live, there's good and bad people, right? Like I met really good people in the hood. So it's not like just living in the hood, it's just bad people, right? But it's really just like you gotta just move yourself. Like you gotta decide to make the change, and like the change can really be based off where you are and who you're around. Like at the end of the day, the best decision I ever made in my entire life was to run away from everything, all my friends, and my whole network, my whole life, everything that meant anything to me, and to start fresh. And that was the best thing I ever did in my life. And so I guess be willing to just start fresh, and to just focus on you and your goals instead of the people. Because I think that's really what it was, is I was so addicted to the network and hanging with the guys and hanging with the girls. And if you can just get away from everything, all the bullshit that you're surrounded by, and just focus on what you actually want to accomplish, that's the best thing I ever did.
All right, Ben, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Mark, thank you.
It's good to see somebody getting out.
Yeah, it's hard. It cost a lot of money too, I'll tell you. I spent every penny that I ever made in that whole trafficking thing on licenses and lights and this and that, but made it all back once I did it.